Zac, what do you appreciate the most in your studies of Gus Bradley?
Their players understand the scheme. They play fast. They understand the rules. They're a very effective defense. I think that he gets all the players to play to their highest potential, and it's a very difficult defense to face.
Back in November, how much? I mean, he's known for cover three, but I asked Joe this, Burrow, how much more than just playing cover three did you see?
Sure. I mean, he does a good job mixing it up to where you don't always know what you're going to get. They have a lot of complements to the coverage that make it look the same. They play some different forms of man coverage. He's done a great job, evolving the scheme over a number of years. And you go back and watch Chargers tape from last year, which we played him last year. And to get players for different teams to play at the same high level and same effectiveness goes to show you how good of a teacher you are and how good of a coach you are. And I probably said this the last time we play them because I still believe it now, but the assistant coaches they have on that staff as well are tremendous, and they do a great job getting those players to play a high level.
How's Quentin Spain doing?
Good. So expect all those guys that I mentioned yesterday or 2 days ago to get out there and get a chance to work at practice today.
Zach, I have a two-part question about Joe Burrow. When you guys were going through the process of evaluating him, how much did his confidence and swagger come up in whatever interviews you did? And then have you ever had an experience with him where he's ever wavered in that confidence, or is he just like that all the time?
How much did it come up? We always talk about players' personalities and what their approach is. At the end of the day, you're watching the tape. You got to make sure it's a talented player that can perform in the big moments and can operate the quarterback position the way you want it done for your franchise. And he certainly checked all those boxes. And what you understood about Joe is that he's a guy that puts in the work. There's plenty of people in life, right? All different professions that can put forth a face of confidence and that they know what they're doing. But in the backdrop, they haven't maybe put in all the work. With Joe, it's not the case. Joe, because you've seen it, those you've spoken to, he's willing to put in all the work. And so when he's up there cool and confident and saying the things he says, he knows it's because he's prepared for the moment, and the moment's not too big. And I think that speaks volumes about Joe.
Just have one follow-up on that. Have you ever been around a player as confident as he is?
It's hard to say. It's hard to compare players. He's got the right amount of confidence. He's got a tremendous work ethic, and that's all that matters to us.
You told us a couple of days ago, Zach, that the character of this team is your favorite part about it. Is they follow Joe Burrow's character and how he handles himself going into a big game like this, or just every week?
I think each guy is his own individual as well. So it's obvious. It's a great thing when you know that your quarterback has confidence and you can follow that lead. But at the same time, we've got so many players in this locker room that are confident for the same reasons I talked about Joe. They put in the work. They know they've got the talent. They've put in the work to match that and prepared to match that. And they know that they put themselves in a really good position to be successful.
Your decision to rest players and in some cases not even travel, did it pay off? Have you noticed a definite increased bounce in the step, a little bit of added enthusiasm and excitement this week?
I think it's really good energy. We've had our meetings this morning. We had our walkthrough already. We'll go out to practice here in a minute. But so far the energy has been great in the building, and everyone seems pretty healthy and ready to roll.
When you were meeting with Joe Burrow during the pre-draft process, what was the most impressive thing about kind of his mental understanding of how he understood the game?
Well, he could articulate what they did and had a great understanding of why they did it. In person, we only were in person with them for 18 minutes, and the rest of it was all virtual. If you can imagine that, the guy that's going to lead your franchise, you get to see him for 18 minutes. And obviously we just watched the tape. It matched the things that he was able to say, and we had the confidence that he'd be able to hit the ground running here in the NFL at a very quick pace, and he's done just that.
Crosby has 8 sacks, which is very good, but he's got more than 100 pressures. I think he has 14 more than anybody else in the NFL. What does that say about him? He's
one of the best players in the NFL. He is. And you have to have a plan for him. He can disrupt an entire game. I've made this statement to others around here. Outside of the players in our locker room, he's one of my favorite players in this league. Just how he goes about every single snap, run game, pass game. the leadership that he's shown on that team. He's helped absolutely put them in a position to be in the playoffs where they're at right now. And there's a lot of players around this league that you respect. He's certainly top notch and one of the top up there for me.
Were you happy or satisfied, at least, with the plan you had for him the first time around?
Well, we don't ever want our quarterback to get hit, I think. And so, again, you got to have a plan. It's not like he's the only one. You know, they've got a lot of good players up front. And again, they can call some pressures that can get home as well. So, you know, you're not just focused on one guy. I think that's probably what they liked about their defense is you got Yannick on the other side. They got really good interior guys. You know, they've got Cleveland Farrell, first-round pick, who's back there, and Kuntz and Nassib. You know, so they got a lot of guys that can come off the edge as well and contribute from a backup role even. And then those guys up front can get you pressure too. So it's just a really good front, and the guys behind them play really well as well.
What went into the decision this offseason to make the offense more versatile, specifically with the power run game and add that new element?
It hasn't strayed too much from what we've done previously. You know, it's just I think anytime you're in the third year of the system and the guys have confidence in some of the nuances and the techniques and the overall scheme, and you can look at your own cut-ups over 2 years and improve. And certainly we tweak things as we go, and we evolve it to what the 21-21 Bengals offense needs to look like. You know, so you always take some pieces, maybe some things that complement some things that you've hung your hat on, some things you've stolen from some other teams. And again, you just make it what you are. And it's not even that. You evolve over the course of the season as well. You know, we're not the exact same offense we were these first couple of weeks of the season. We've evolved and started to lean in some other directions. And our players just have a lot of confidence in what we're asking them to do, and they've been able to perform at a high level.
Zach, speaking of that offensive evolution, how do you think the offense is different now versus when you played the Raiders on, I believe it was November 21st?
Just different points in the year, you know, so you've got different experiences now of how guys handle different situations. And, you know, I thought that we played a really solid game as a team, you know, in that game. It was a full team effort. We needed all three phases to be able to win that game because we knew they were a really good football team. And that's what we got. We're going to need that again from our guys this Saturday.
Just looking back, one thing that stood out to me is T. Higgins' emergence. Have you noticed defenses have to play differently now that T's shown that he can be that 1,000-yard receiver alongside Jamar with Boyd in the slot?
You know, every defense we played is different. You know, they're not always two the same. And so it's hard to just make this blanket statement that teams play him different. What we feel like is we have a lot of different ways we can attack people. You know, we have a run game that we believe in with a great stable of running backs led by Joe Mixon, and then got a lot of weapons in the pass game, and then our quarterback is as good as there is around. So that's not really our concern. Our concern is to put together a great plan and then be ready to adjust over the course of the game to whatever the defense has given us.
They used Mariota quite a few times in their win on Sunday night. Is that more of a factor than it was in the first meeting?
Well, certainly they had involved him over the course of the year, and you know they've done that recently as well. He's got a lot of experience in this league. He's not only a great runner, but he can throw the ball as well. He's won a lot of games as a passer, played against him many times, and so again, that's you know they got a good little package there they can run with him.
Zach, as a play caller, just out of curiosity, how much of what you're doing early in the game is also to kind of set stuff up as the game goes on and knowing you're going to want a certain call or look at the end of the game and maybe kind of putting a defense in position for that early on?
There's a balance. You know, I can't say every game you're trying to set things up. Sometimes all the time you're trying to go down there and score as quickly as possible. And at the same time, you gather information about what you're seeing and whether it's formationally or play call wise, and try to use that to your advantage later on in the game. But certainly the objective is to score points early and often, and then, you know, see how they're reacting from there and continue to make your adjustments.
How does having a quarterback like Burrow maybe help in that objective as you're kind of having that dual front offensively?
Well, he's a good communicator. And so things that maybe he feels on the field or that he's hearing or seeing, he does a great job communicating them, whether it's to pitch or myself. And so he helps us, again, formulate the ways that we can continue to adjust over the course of the game.
Hey, Coach, why do you think he's cut that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Butch.
I was saying, Coach, why do you think he's cut down on his interceptions? That was a big source of angst about a month ago, and you haven't heard about it lately. How has he done that? How has he cut down?
Yeah. maybe compare that to the Jamar Chase preseason conversation. There wasn't a lot of angst on our end. We knew that things were heading in the right direction. Maybe not everybody could see it. Same with the interceptions. I've watched every interception as many times as anybody else. And again, just like sacks, the sacks always go on the offensive line, even though it's not always offensive line's fault. Quarterback's always going to take blame for the interceptions, even though, it's all 11 guys. It's play calling, it's protection, it's route running, it's tip balls. It's always going to fall on the quarterback. And so, again, knowing what we knew about all the interceptions, had a high degree of confidence that Joe was making really good decisions. He throws as accurate as any quarterback in this league. And we knew that they would even out at some point, and it has.
Do you think he's become more patient in the last month?
I don't think the interceptions were lack of patience or poor decision-making. It was tipped balls. It was, in some cases, being off by about 2 inches. It was defensive ends reacting on a screen and tipping the ball up in the air. It was getting hit on a throw and the ball popping up. It was throwing a go route right in stride and the ball being bounced off a receiver's hands and the DB picking it off. There's no reason to panic and overreact to that kind of stuff. It was unfortunate that they happened, but we're realistic with why they happened and felt very strongly that it would even out in our favor.
Is there a player defensively that has emerged? Obviously the star players, you got the Pro Bowl players, but is there anybody that's emerged and playing at a higher level that's made them a much better defense since the first time you played them?
Oh, for them, you're saying?
Yes.
It's a very similar group to what we played the first time. Abram is out, the safety, so they've replaced him with 33. The linebackers, they've made some adjustments there. But for the most part, the unit is the same. And I've got a lot of respect. I think Denzel Perriman is a tremendous linebacker. He's done a tremendous job in this scheme over the course of the season. He's 5th or 6th in the league and making tackles. You can tell that's really the bell cow at the second level. They've got a lot of experience there within the scheme. Guys like KJ Wright and Hayward and all these guys who played in the system before. And so, I don't feel like the need to say one guy's playing well. They play really well as a unit. And the 2 or 3 new guys that they've incorporated in there as the season's evolved, I think have gotten better with the experience that they've gotten.
Zach, after the after the last couple of home games, you mentioned the crowd and just the noise and how fun it's been there. Do you notice the playoff buzz this week? Just, I don't know if you go pick up your coffee or you can notice it just driving into work. Do you notice that?
No, it's my routine hasn't changed. You guys are really my only outlet to the outside world. So whatever I hear from you all is kind of how I gauge what's going on. But our routine has changed. We just lost today. That was it. So you had to cram, really 2 days into one yesterday to get the plan ready. But fortunately, it's a team that we played recently and felt like we were good with the direction we're headed.
The fact that you're playing Saturday night, does it even make you feel better about guys take a day off? We've clinched. We want to treat this as a bye. The fact that you have to play a little bit earlier than anticipated even makes it a better decision?
I don't think that's a bad thing for us. You just wait to see what the schedule is, and we played on Sunday, they played on Sunday, but I certainly don't think it was a negative that we're playing on a Saturday based on where our team was at these last, week and a half.
You consider at all moving practice up to the indoor facility at UC this week? Just
because of the cold?
Yeah.
No, that's more of a rain or snow issue for us. I like it. We've laid out very plainly what the temperature is going to be this week and on Saturday, and our guys are ready for it.
So you like the idea of practicing and what you're going to play in, basically?
Absolutely.
Yeah, someone brought up, I guess, word on the street is back before you got here. I guess you have use of the UC bubble. Is that still like a viable option if you guys wanted to use it?
Yeah, they've been great. We always communicate with them. And, again, that's more if maybe if we were playing in Miami or Houston and the weather was going to be drastically different or it was supposed to rain and we're not even going to get anything out of practice or bad snow conditions. I think that's certainly a viable option, and they've been great with dealing with us. But, again, this week's just a little bit of cold weather, and we'll be ready for it. I've got on 4 shirts right now, so I'm ready.
How many are long sleeve?
All of them.
There you go.
Do you have a snow game plan specifically?
Go ahead, Charlie, and I'll hit Mike after that.
Just real quick on that. Do you have a snow game plan specifically? Because there's a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll judge. We practiced in snow last Thursday, so we'll be ready for anything. Go ahead, Mike.
Speaking of UC, just talking about Doug Rosfeld, how has he helped the day-to-day operations of the team, and what's your rapport been like with him going back to your UC days?
He's unbelievable. He does everything, and probably gets credit for none of it. But he does. He gets me to this meeting on time. It's otherwise I'd pretty much just be lost in my office all day. But Doug kind of keeps everything moving in the right direction. He's the kind of guy, if he didn't show up for work, then probably all the lights in the building wouldn't be on and nobody would realize what was happening. But he's tremendous. He's always positive energy. If you see him on the sidelines, he's always kind of first team all sidelines with his energy level and getting guys hyped up, and throws the challenge flag, does a heck of a job doing that too. And he does everything for us, coaching staff. He's the director of coaching operations. And so anything that coaches need, he's kind of the right-hand man for them. And he's just around all the time for whatever everybody needs. And the players know they can rely on him as well. And so, that does go back to meeting him when I was at UC. He's the best. We're glad to have him.
2 minutes.
I've had a relationship with Doug since, Moeller, UC. Has he recovered since that? Didn't he get the challenge flag stuck trying to throw it out your first year? Has he bounced back from that?
I don't remember that specifically.
Zach, what's the coldest game you ever played in?
Oh, thanks for bringing it up, Paul. The Big 12 championship game in 2006 in Kansas City, and they've since moved it to Jerry World. I'm still very sensitive to that. So it was very cold. We did not win. I would say the coldest practices I ever had when I was in Winnipeg in November as the fourth string quarterback. I would practice with 2 hooded sweatshirts underneath my helmet, and I would throw with ski gloves. And it was very difficult. But those guys have done it a lot longer than I have. But I don't remember those practices with great fondness.
What is the hardest part about playing quarterback in that cold? I mean, is gripping the ball harder? Is it throwing it? Is it what is it that's hard about it?
Well, it's slick. It's hard. I actually remember. I don't know if he remembers this, but when I was at the combine as a player, I threw a bang 8 against Texas in the snow on a gun 3 and 1 hitch, and that should always be a plant throw versus free access to Maurice Purify, who scored, by the way. But I took a hitch, and I remember Kyle Shanahan in my meeting at the combine said, why would you throw that with a hitch? And, you feel like you're making an excuse, but it was really cold. The ball was really hard and slick, and I just kind of needed a grip for another hitch to be able to throw that ball. And it was a little bit late. Our receiver should have gotten killed, but fortunately we got it off. But again, that just goes back to your point. You've got to be used to throwing in those conditions. You got to use to how the ball feels in your hands. Feels a little harder, feels a little slicker. That's for the punter, the kicker, the quarterback, the receivers, all those guys got to get used to that. And we do, because we practice it all the time.
Did you wear a glove?
I feel like I covered all walks of my life right there with those last 2 questions. I appreciate you guys bringing those up.
Did you wear a glove?
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to ask, did you wear a glove when you?
I did not. I did not in college. I did in the CFL because I was the fourth string quarterback again, and I was just trying to survive the practice. So I wore ski gloves and we just shot put about every throw I had.
James, last question.
It's easy trivia question. Do you remember who Maurice Purify signed with as an undrafted free agent?
Cincinnati Bengals.
There you go.
Yeah.
Figured I'd ask. I heard the name, was like, oh.
Yeah. And Marlon Lucky also.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.